Good morning. Welcome to day 9 of 21 Ways to Bring Balance into Your Life. Today's chapter is titled Money Makes the World Go Around. So let me ask you, what is your money story? What emotions, judgments, and values do you have about money? Well, I can tell you my values about money today are very, very different from when I was in my 20s and even when I was growing up, because our attitude and our beliefs around money were unconsciously embedded into our mind at a young age. So think about your mind, think about your head, and the top of your head is open. And when we first come into this world, up to the first 4 years of our life, they say 4 to 7 is where these values are embedded. But we are around our tribe all the time, our mom and dad, our family, our friends, and all the ideas and beliefs of those people became embedded into our brain, which ended up becoming our belief systems. So growing up, mom and dad worked very, very hard, and I'm so grateful for everything that they gave us. But times were tough, and they worked very hard for their money, and it was talked about a lot growing up. And so I had this thought that money was scarce, that money was evil, that there was never enough money. But if I think back to how mom and dad grew up, they grew up around wartime. And so money was very, very scarce there. And that was embedded into their mind. So over the years, I've done a lot of work about money. And the one thing that I've learned about money is that money is energy. That's all it is. And for it to work for us, it needs to flow through us for us to receive it. So we give and we receive. And that's pretty much all it is. And it's meant to flow. It's meant to go through from one to another through an exchange. And that's how we can create more in our lifetime. Now, I'm not sure if going back to when I talked about Feeling is the Secret, the book by Neville Goddard, on how when we go to sleep at night, we should be thinking about what we want to receive into our life. And as we're falling asleep, that gets embedded in our subconscious mind, and then that gets put out to the world, because our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and fake. And so whatever we tell our subconscious mind is what we will receive. Now, when my girls were little, they were 2, 4, and 6, I was a single mom. And it was very hard. I had a lot of help, but I still struggled with money. And so I would go to sleep at night worrying about bills, how I was going to pay them, looking after my girls, how I was going to clothe them, etc. And when I woke up the next day, I was still worried about it. And of course, there were more bills in my letterbox waiting for me, because that was the energy that I was putting out, instead of going to sleep thinking, I am rich. I have all the money that I need in the world. Now, back then, did I believe that? Absolutely not. And what I'm learning through my mentors and my coaches, and what I'm teaching, is that we need to come from the wish fulfilled. So if you see yourself as a millionaire, you need to become a millionaire in your mind. You need to act like a millionaire. You need to believe that you are one. And so we're reverse engineering what we want. We think about what we want, and then we make the steps coming from that spot, coming back to where we are today to make that happen. Because if we don't come backwards, I am here right now. This is my dream, my goal of, let's say, $1 million. Well, there's a huge gap between where I am and where I want to be. So that's what I'm looking at, is that gap. So how about we go to what we want, and then we reverse engineer it back. We create steps coming back to where we are today, so that we will actually get to what we want. I hope that makes sense. So to create change, you have to only think about positive thoughts. And when you think about them, you have to feel them too, just like I spoke about. Feeling is the secret. And so how do we do this? How do we change around our money story so that we're not thinking about the things we don't have, thinking about, money is scarce? Because I've been there. I know exactly how that feels. And that was quite a few years of not sadness, but well, sadness and frustration and all these things rolled up in one, because where am I going to get the money to pay for this? And where am I going to get the money to pay for this? And so it was a constant worry in my life. And this only changed for me in 2012, because I was at a very sad point in my life. A whole bunch of stuff had happened, and I was in a business that I couldn't be in. And one night I sat in my hot tub and I looked up to the sky and said, okay, bring it on. I need change. I can't live like this anymore. And the next day, I kind of crashed, and I ended up having a nervous breakdown, and I crashed down, but I knew I needed to be there, and I was being guided, because to be there, you have to be there to be able to come out of it. And so it took me about 18 months to come back to a place of, I feel me again. But during that time, I realized that one of my stories that had to change was about money, because it wasn't serving me the way I was already thinking. So what I started to do is I started to meditate for 10 to 15 minutes a day, just sitting in a quiet place, closing my eyes, and really connecting to who I am inside, and connecting to source, this bigger energy that I'm sure you will agree with me that there is something much bigger than the two of us in this world. And so I would sit and connect to that. And the thoughts would come into my mind, you know, not the good thoughts. So I would recognize, and then I'd send them on their way, and I'd come back. And then I started to visualize about what I wanted in my life. That's what you got to do. You got to visualize what you want in your life. And when you can visualize what you want in your life, you see it on the screen of your mind. You can then go to sleep with that same thought. So the more you think about what you want in your life, the more that picture gets embedded in the mind. And we can do that through meditation, through visualization. And then we go to sleep at night and we feel it in our heart, the joy and the freedom that it's bringing us. Because it's not about the money. It's about what the money brings for us. And mine is freedom. I want to take my family on 5-star vacations. I want to have a beautiful cottage at the lake's edge so I can host retreats. I want to be able to travel the world and help people find balance in their lives so they can live life to the fullest too. So lots and lots of things in my mind. So I ask you, what are your goals? What do you want in your life? And then we see that with our 5 senses. So we see a new bank account balance. We smell the leather of a new car. We hear the giggles of the children that you're building a school for somewhere. You're tasting the food in your new kitchen. All these 5 senses can help us do this to create what we want. My dad, I really like this. I have this in the book. My dad described the difference between thinking and meditating to me, and he used electricity as an example, which is pretty cool because my dad was an electrician. When we are just thinking about new ideas and all that we desire, we're using about 120 volts of charge. This is the amount of electricity that your iron and your kettle use. But when we are thinking of all the same things through meditation for 10 to 15 minutes every day, we supercharge the power to 220 volts, the energy needed to run your stove and washing machine. Do you see how powerful meditation can be? Believe it, and you will eventually receive it. And I just love that analogy from my dad, and that he was able to share that with me. So if you do have a particular set goal in mind, a vacation or anything that you want to do, start to visualize it, because money is energy. It flows in you and it flows out of you. It's no good having it stashed in a jar in your closet for a rainy day, because that rainy day will never come and that money is stagnant. So we need to flow it. We need to let it flow. We need to visualize what we want in our life, and it will be received. Anyway, thank you for watching me. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care. Bye for now.